Hey guys, Scott here. Sorry about the lack of streams. I've still been filmed. Really shit. Sinus stuff's flaring up worse than usual, so sorry about that. But today I wanted to go over, while I have the downtime, something that everyone kind of talks about, but I've never actually made a video on, and it is the audio occlusion problems in Dead by Daylight. For those who don't know, audio occlusion is the effect that happens when something is interrupting a sound wave by being in front of it, and it's the distortion of the sound based on that. So for example, I'm talking to you right now. This is me unoccluded. Now, if I put this in front of myself, you can still hear me talking, but it's a bit lower and it's a bit more muffled, so it's not quite the same thing. The thing is, though, how sound works is it bounces off my voice, it bounces off this, and it bounces off everything else in the room, and will eventually still reach you guys, just less of the sound waves are getting there. That's kind of in a nutshell how it works. Now, in video games, it kind of doesn't work exactly the same way, but they mimic the same effect. And the thing is, Unreal Engine pretty much does this out of the box. It applies a low pass filter and it lowers the volume based on the mesh of the object, and you can even set custom zones if you would like as well. And so for most people that are working with Unreal Engine, it's not a very big deal. But for some reason, in Dead by Daylight, the audio occlusion is incredibly busted beyond belief. So what that basically means is, like, say there's just like, a TL wall, just whatever, just, I don't know, something like that. And that's a little bit close to a swastika wall. Let's fix that. Okay. So whatever, generator right here, right here. And so how the actual sound should work, if the big bad killer is right on this side, right here, you should be able to hear this not quite as clear as if you were standing right here, but you should still be able to hear it. The problem is with certain maps, especially maps that have multiple floors, the audio occlusion treats these walls as just void-sucking objects that absorb all space, sound, and time into them, when that's not how that works. Because really, the sound bounces off this, it bounces off this, bounces off this, bounces off this. It just bounces off all of this shit, and eventually, the person on the other side of the wall is supposed to be able to hear it. And sometimes it does, but a lot of the time, and again, especially bad on indoor maps and maps with multiple floors, for some reason, it just makes like no sound whatsoever. Probably the perfect example that I couldn't find a clip of right now is in in Bad and Preschool. You can be there's like that House of Pain building that has a generator downstairs with the 2 staircases and the breakable wall. You could be actually midway down the stairs and not hear the generator whatsoever. It is completely silent. And if you move an inch further down, it goes from nothing to like there's like some sort of weird shit going on there. And it's constantly frustrating because this really affects how you chase as killer. Because if you're running and chasing someone who runs out of line of sight, suddenly they start making way less sound than they should be making, which means it's a lot harder to track them. And if you throw on things like Iron Will and stuff like that, it becomes almost impossible to track them. And that's not because that's how it's supposed to be. Like, you should still be able to hear the sounds that they're making. They should just be a bit more muffled and quiet. But for some reason, when people go out of line of sight, they just stop making sounds entirely. And it's not even something that like Strider fixes or anything like that, because it's not that they're quiet, it's that they just don't emit sound effects at all. You can't increase, multiplicative of 0 is still 0. So that is one of the huge complaints about the sound in this game. And finally, to bring it home with the whole sound issues, the slug bug, it's been in the game for over 3 years now, right? The slug bug is when someone is knocked on the ground, they just make no sound at all. You always make sound on the ground, even if you have Iron Will, if you have No Mither, everything, you always make sound on the ground. But for some reason, like 25% of the time, you just don't make any sound. And sometimes, even if you're injured and just walking around without Iron Will, sometimes you just don't make any sound. I don't know what the hell causes these bugs. They've been in the game for 3 months, and it's just getting so obnoxious. Please just find a way to fix it. It doesn't seem like it should be that complicated. Like I said, Unreal Engine's usually pretty good with this stuff, so it's one of those things we've just basically learn to accept at this point, and we really shouldn't, because it's pretty busted, but it is what it is, and it is the game that we deal with. So I don't know, I thought I'd bring more actual attention to this, because I know we've all experienced it before, but I never made a video about it, and I'm sick, and I thought I would just fill the day by thinking about stuff like this. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. See ya.